3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our question and answers, where we take your comments and we read them and we react to them and answer them here on this show.
Yes.
Let's get right into it. So we're going to start with, this is a tough one to pronounce, but I'm going to go with Sidonio Marshale.
Should I announce that people should only comment if they got easy names to pronounce?
Yeah, this one's a tough one. But this one got 41 likes, and I think this might be one of the most liked comments that we've ever got in our videos, because I don't think that's one of the highest numbers I've seen. But they say, 45K in damages to my place by tenants. Taken them to small claims court. Took 7 months to get them out. Nightmare. Being a landlord in Toronto isn't worth it. Now they are back in Iran, so I doubt I'll get anything on our court date. What a joke. Thank you, Trudeau, for ruining our once beautiful country.
So those likes are people that agree with the comment in general, and they're not liking the fact that he lost $45,000 in damages.
Oh, I think they were just agreeing with...
They were agreeing with his general comment, and I don't know how else to say it. It sucks that, the tenant was able to do that to you and get away with it. That's the worst part, you know. Look, when it comes to landlord and tenant relationship, there are bad actors on both sides of the table. There are bad landlords and there are bad tenants. My experience, I tend to find those ones that are bad landlords are usually, now this is just from my personal experience, I don't have any data or stats on this, but the ones that are bad landlords are usually the landlords that are professional landlords. Like they've got multiple properties, maybe even small apartment blocks, but they've got multiple properties. They're not your mom and pop investor that, they got their main principal house and they've bought one extra property to rent out to try to, enhance their retirement one day as an investment to try to better their position. But unfortunately, the landlords that get hurt the most are the mom and pop landlords that are doing it just to make a little bit extra money or to have a bit of nest egg for them when they retire or to help their kids out down the road.
And what's funny about that?
They're the ones getting absolutely slaughtered when they get a bad tenant.
And a lot of times, that bad tenant that mom and pop investor gets is a bad tenant that came from a bad landlord. So that bad tenant already has a bad taste in their mouth for landlords.
For all landlords, yeah.
Because of, certain experiences they've had to. So it's just a not a good situation all around.
It's amazing that people can get away with that. The tenants can get away with as much as they can. And they'll do it in your face.
Yeah.
They'll just tell you straight, no, I'm not paying. And they could tear the house down right in front of you. And
there's not much you can do, right?
There's not much you can do. It's terrible.
Very unfortunate. Moving on here, we're going to go to this comment from John UC4HE. And he says, or they say, right now it's a buyer's market, but as soon as interest rates come down, we will be back to seller market. For those buyers waiting on the sidelines, will pay more and complain they got ripped off. Now, it's actually funny because we were talking about this the other day because you had a conversation with an agent that really simplified the entire thing.
You knew exactly what was happening. Before we get into that, though, this comment is when he says it's a buyer's market, are we talking about a condo videos? Are we talking about the condo market or the freehold market?
This comment, I believe it came from the condo video.
Okay, because then he'd kind of be correct, balance or buyer's market when it comes to condo, but not the freehold market. Okay. Sorry. What was... Okay, so let me get back to that comment. So we're talking about the condo market. He's saying it's a buyer's market. Sure, but I can go with that. But his comment of, as soon as rates comes down, boom, and everybody will be sorry.
Well, that's what I think let's talk about. I think it's more of the oversimplification of this idea that, oh, rates go up, prices drop, rates go down, prices go up.
Yeah, it's
right?
not automatic. It's absolutely not. Did I say automatic? I meant
somewhat.
automatic. You know, there's the thought, and we've seen it happen before. Rates go down, you figure buyers are in a better position now to buy, but they could just go, well, if rates have gone down a quarter point, let's wait.
Yeah.
They could back off and let's wait for the next announcement because they'll come down another quarter, and now they're down, you know, half a point, and well, why not wait a little longer because they're going to continue to come down. And it's tough to say. It's tough to say how buyers are going to react and how sellers are going to react. There's a lot of inventory out there right now.
So many variables too, though.
There's so many variables, and it's really tough to predict. And what kind of gets me going a bit is when people in general make definitive statements like the call that you were talking about. I called there's a property that we were going to put an offer on for one of our clients, for a buyer client. And it was offer night, and it was during the day I was calling the agent just to get some information. And there weren't a lot of, it was really difficult to price this property. There was just nothing selling in the area, and there was no recent transaction. And so I was trying to get an idea as to the seller's headspace. Where are they at? What do they think is a fair price?
Sometimes it doesn't even matter what the fair price is or what the market value is, because the sellers won't sell anyways if they don't get their number, right?
Right. And I was just trying to see where are they at. And I was speaking with the agent, and he said, well, you should tell your buyers that as soon as they make the next announcement and rates are coming down, prices are going up. So this is their opportunity to buy now when prices maybe are a little lower because they're going up at the next rate announcement. And I said, oh, did they announce that they're reducing rates? And the agent tells me, this is a quote, yes, everybody knows rates are going down. I go,
at the next announcement.
At the next announcement. He said next month.
Yeah.
I said, did they actually announce that? And I was playing dumb. And he said, yes, everybody knows rates are going down. And yes, they announced it. And I go, okay, thank you. So now I know who I'm dealing with there. Chances are this is what the agent is telling his sellers. So chances are our offer is probably not going to be that serious in the seller's mind because they have a totally, wrong sense of what's happening. And their attitude is if we don't get our price now, let's wait because for sure rates are coming down. It's already been announced and prices are going to go up in their opinion based on their agent's opinion. Anyways, on that property, they received 2 offers only. We were one of them. And they chose not to accept either one. It stayed on the market.
Which is an interesting side note, actually, because we've seen that a couple times now with a few properties that we've tried to put offers in on for our clients.
Yeah.
We've noticed that that the expectation that the realtor sets probably a little bit too high because none of the offers were coming in at that expected price.
Right. And the agent has egg on their face, and they could either say, sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I was wrong. This is the actual price that makes sense. But that's not what they do. That's not what they do.
That's a tough conversation.
They say, none of these other realtors understand pricing. None of these other buyers understand pricing. What's the matter with these people? And they double down. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we should just relist at the much higher price and we'll get it. And then they wait. And they wait, and then they say the market's changed. Yeah. And now they come back to the regular price.
Yeah. So moving on here, we have our next comment from Ding Dong 8242.
Ding Dong.
Ding Dong says, that's the thing with you realtors. You give these advices when the sentiment is already there and is a moot, I guess, point by now not to be leveraged. And now I got to say, that
I'll let you handle this one. Go ahead.
I still don't think we're hearing people saying that that's probably the best solution for most people,
No.
right? Especially realtors. But yeah, I think in a lot of our videos, I don't know if that's the first video you watched, but I think we've pretty we've used that line quite
day
a bit,
one,
right? It's
from
always
day one,
been,
we say, you know, don't go above your means, and
yeah.
it's nothing's guaranteed, and you know, don't use the tenant if
Mhm.
that's the only way you can cover your mortgages with the tenant.
Mhm.
You're asking for trouble. Too many things can go wrong.
So yeah, we've covered that so many times where, so I don't know if that's the first video you watched of ours, but if you watch more of them, you'll hear that that's a constant theme in our video, which is, hey, you know, sometimes you don't need to use that equity in your home to buy another home. You can
Those
just
realtors,
you
eh?
can just
Those
relax,
realtors.
pay your mortgage down, and enjoy life. So
Those
I
realtors.
know. So next question here.
Those comments make me laugh.
I
I'm
know.
sorry
I know.
when you go, you realtors.
So next comment here is from Mark Z. Which one is it? Z or
Zuckerberg?
Z? No. Oh, maybe. Never know. So Mark Z says, how are mom and pop investors not part of the problem? I was chatting with one of my clients the other day, and he has several friends that bought 3, 5, and one even has 8 homes, all bought with low interest rates. Now they are stuck because they are underwater and can't sell. These are working class people, so you can't tell me that's not fraudulent and greedy.
I don't.
So I think this was one of the comments from last week's video that you did with Anthony.
Well, the people that have 1 and 2 could easily be, even 2 is a bit of a stretch, but anybody with 1 extra property, I wouldn't say that they're rich. There's lots of middle class, you know, regular Canadians. The one that has 8, you said 8 properties. Yeah, I wouldn't put that one in the same category. That's a professional landlord there. And I don't know if I really understand the question. Is he alluding to that the only way they could do this is with fraud?
Yeah, I believe so.
Look, lots have done it that way. Is that the only way? I don't think so. There's lots of people that have bought 1 or 2, you know, totally legit, and you don't need to deal with fraud to do that.
But you also don't know the people's situation. I
No,
mean,
you don't.
We've met people, you know, throughout our real estate career. We've met people with, you know, 10 properties that have very low income jobs, but they were inherited houses from, you know, parents, stuff like that.
Some are inherited, and
Right?
some it's one after the other, but not necessarily, you know, every 6 months I'm buying another house.
Yeah.
It's years apart, and you know, there's all sorts of ways of doing it.
Usually more to the story, I think, is the
I don't see
answer
the mom and pop landlords as part of the problem. Unfortunately, a lot of them are getting hurt because there's no law against being naive. There's no law in being not so financially savvy. There's no law against that. So people are going to make mistakes. That doesn't mean, you know, they're bad. It's just a mistake.
Yeah. The next comment here comes from Vince8520. And he says, for their 600K, they expect to net max 4%. They could put everything in a GIC and get 5% with, he says, with the trouble of being a landlord, but I think he meant without the trouble of being a landlord.
Look, there's all sorts of financial advice you can give.
Some people
maybe
just
so.
Like real estate.
Some people will be okay with that. Maybe they want the condo also down the road to give to one of their kids. You know, who knows? There's lots of different ways financially to set yourself up. I don't want to necessarily give financial advice. You know, there's a lot more to it. I would assume and expect and advise that everybody speak with their financial advisor, their accountant, their lawyer, whatever the case, to figure out what's best for them. I gave you a scenario that I dealt with. Sure, there was other ways of them dealing with it, but this is how they chose to do it. But I'm not discounting what you're saying with the GIC. Yeah, so that's also a viable way of doing things.
Next comment here comes from Adam Narbo, 58.98. And he says, you also have an excess of condos available because of the increased corporate tax. High profiteers want to exit by June. Now, would I be right in saying that that excess of condos is probably not because of the tax that was just announced? Because it
Right.
takes a little bit of time to get these things on the
Absolutely.
market, right?
This has been building and
Yeah.
building and building and building.
So I think it's
The announcement could be a reason for more building
Yeah.
and building and inventory.
well, we see, with the condos, the one thing that really shocked me was that, we had just over 2,000 active listings the same time last year, right?
Yeah.
And now we're close to double that.
We're over 4,000, aren't we?
Over 4,000.
Yeah.
I think the sales are around in 200s, in between
yeah.
100 and 200. So if there is an excess of condos coming, there's a lot of competition there. So
Look, when we're talking about the condo market, the majority, not the majority, let me say, around, depending on which condos and so forth, but around half of them are investors. They're people that bought a condo, in many cases pre-construction, and there's a chain reaction. So a builder of a condo project will put it up for sale long before they break ground or anything, just, at the beginning stages. They'll put the condo up for sale, and investors immediately, like half are bought out
yeah,
by investors buying a second property. Now, some of these are professional investors.
some of them buy the entire floor.
Some of them will buy the entire floor. Some of them will buy 5-6 units. And then there's the mom and pop investor will say that they'll buy, one as an investment, thinking, okay, it'll be ready in 3, 4, 5 years. And by then we'll figure it out. And we got so much equity built up in our home, we can buy it that way. And then the rest are end users that figure, yeah, you know what, I'm going to live there. This is where I want to be. It's close to work, whatever the case is. So half investors, half end users. Now we have the climate that we're in now with the higher interest rates and rents being what they are, mortgage payments being what they are. Who's in trouble? It's the investor. They're looking at this saying, these condos that we bought, makes no sense to close on them. Or if they have closed on it, it makes, like, they're not cash flow positive. And they're looking at this, and it's purely a business decision to just, well, let's sell it. It makes no sense anymore to keep this. If you're the mom and pop investor that bought the one, you're having your own issues with the home that you own. You're not, you don't have 10 and 20 condos and one can offset the loss on the other. You've got your main home and your whole living expenses have all gone up.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, why do I want to keep this? So it's those condos, the majority that are coming onto the market, and the people that are living in their condos, they're just paying their mortgage like before, although it's a higher mortgage. But many of them have had, they got a 5-year fixed and they locked in. We just spoke to a client who said, I remember at the time when we were selling and buying his home, it was like at 3.8%.
It's the end of the world.
It was the end. It's like, oh, these payments are so high. And it had to be a fixed mortgage at the time for whatever reason. And it was like so bad. And this morning he was like, Santo, I'm so lucky that a few years ago we locked in at 3.8.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's amazing how things turned out. We're so lucky. But back then, it was like a scary thing for him to have 3.8 because it was the highest at the time.
Yeah. So next comment here comes from user OW5TD8CW7X.
Is that a serial number? Or?
And they say, throw the books at them, question mark. You have read the news about the heist of gold bars and money in Pearson Airport. The jail time for criminals is limited to 5 years. My point, the book is like a sheet of paper.
Yeah. Our judicial system feels a bit weak.
Yeah.
And personally, I think it goes too far one way to protect everybody's rights.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the innocent people are look,
ones
to,
that-
to make society more safe, certain rights need to be taken away. The more safe society is in general, the less rights we actually have. You know, you can't get onto a plane without being x-rayed and all your stuff looked at, and you know, randomly they could pull you aside and check. And if you say, I don't want to be x-rayed, I got rights. Well, yeah, you do. But to make the plane more safe, we're taking away your rights and we're going to x-ray you, or you got the choice of not getting on the plane. So, you know, that's just the thing. They try to keep, you know, why don't these people go to jail? I don't know. I wish they would. I wish the people committed fraud right, you know, bottom to the top, including the buyer who knew this was happening, and the mortgage broker and the realtor and the lawyer, everybody involved. They should all go to jail. But when's the last time we heard that happen?
Last comment here we'll do is from Peter SZ or Z1SN. Says, love Santo's content. It is very serious, numbers based, and yet presented in a light way. Thank you for that. However,
I was going to say we're finishing strong. There's an however. Okay, let's go.
At the end of the day, Santo means business.
Absolutely, I do. I got to feed my family, right?
The intro starts with why some condos are not selling, small studios in particular. Answer, because nobody can live there. And then the intro ends with a sales pitch for a studio condo at the end of the video.
Absolutely, it does.
You know, okay, so let's say, to start, when they say nobody can live there, a lot of people can live there. It's not for a lot of people, but, you know, university
Nobody's
student,
forcing you to buy it. Nobody's forcing. The builders are going to build, they're going to build. You know why they keep building them? Because people buy them.
Yeah, but like in particular studios, like
studio.
It's great for a university student who's actually
absolutely it is
living there.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah, it's close to school too. But yeah, so what do you think, Pa?
About?
What do you think about the fact that you're contradicting yourself?
How am I don't get it. How am I contradicting myself? Tell me, what's so funny? How am I contradicting myself?
Because you talk about small studios and how they're so much harder to sell, but then at the end, you're doing.
I'm trying to sell one.
Yeah,
we've got a studio for sale
at a great price too.
At a great price, we're representing our client. Yeah. We're going all out to represent our client. I don't understand what the problem is there. We will. Our loyalty is to our client. It always is. Always will be. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What am I? How am I contradicting myself?
I guess not. It's
have we sold overpriced properties before? For sure we have. Have we, you know, negotiated a price extra low for our buyers? Of course we have. Like, but we're representing our clients.
Best interest of them.
The best interest of our client. That's our job as realtors, and we're good at it. Yes. So, yeah, I do mean business.
And the end of the comment says great content with a thumbs up.
Appreciate it.
So we will end off on that note. Thank you so much for watching again. Leave your comments in the comment section below, in the comments on the videos throughout the week, and we'll pick them, and hopefully you can end up on this channel here, or this show here. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.